I'm going to give you fair warning. Excuse me. This video is going to be fairly long. I'm making this video to show people how the same story can be viewed in completely opposite manners depending on whether you lean left or lean right, or you're pro-police or anti-police. It's going to all depend on your point of view. Now, I saw this story last night, and it's a story of police killing a black woman in her apartment. Now, I don't want to bias you, so I'm going to play this segment, and it's a very long segment from Megyn Kelly, and then I'm going to play a segment from News One Now this morning from the Roland Martin show, and then I'm going to make my commentary.
Many Americans awoke to the heartbreaking news today that a young black mother, Korryn Gaines, had been killed and her young son wounded after a nearly 6-hour standoff with police on Monday. What was missing from some of those initial reports, however, was the fact that Gaines was allegedly pointing a shotgun at the responding officers as she sat on the couch with a 5-year-old child. Police were attempting to serve arrest warrants to Gaines and a man named Kareem Courtney early Monday. No one answered at Gaines's apartment, but the officers could hear voices inside, including those of children. Here's how police described what happened next.
They could clearly see a female that they believed to be Miss Gaines seated on the floor, a child nearby who immediately began to wield a shotgun around, bringing it up to ready position, pointing it directly at the officers there to serve the arrest warrants. The entire time, throughout the afternoon, she repeatedly would point the weapon at our personnel. For hours, we pleaded with her to end this peacefully. We were concerned about the safety of the child.
Gaines was even filming off and on as those hours unfolded, her young son's voice still in the background as she zoomed in on the rifle of an officer who was peering in the door at one point. And in another gut-wrenching video taken during the standoff, Gaines asks her young son whether he is aware of the situation in which she has put him.
What's happening right now? Who's outside?
The police.
And what are they trying to do? Sergeant, what are they trying to do?
They trying to kill us.
They're trying to kill us. In moments, we're joined by Pastor Wesley West and radio host Kevin Jackson on the controversy over how this thing ended and where the story has gone since. But first, tonight, we begin with Trace Gallagher, who has the details that a lot of media outlets left out. Trace?
Megyn, prior to the 5.5-hour standoff, Baltimore police were very aware of 23-year-old Korryn Gaines. Back in March, they pulled her over with her kids for not having a car license plate. Instead of the plate, there was a cardboard sign warning government officials not to stop her. And when police did, it quickly got confrontational. And Korryn Gaines videotaped it and posted parts of it on Instagram. Watch.
I'll be, listen,
all these chances. Why are you asking?
a chance to do what?
To get out of your car with your children.
Sir, you're trying to steal my car, and when you put your hands on me, I promise you, you will have to murder me. You will have to murder me, so go ahead and get ready to do that.
Gaines was finally arrested and given a court date. When she failed to appear, Baltimore police went to her home to serve a bench warrant. Police say they could hear the man inside talking with her, but nobody came to the door, so they got a key from the manager, opened the door, and found Gaines sitting on the floor with a shotgun. Police backed away and the barricade began. A short time later, the man inside ran out with a 1-year-old baby and was arrested. Gaines stayed in the home with her 5-year-old son. Police negotiators brought in her parents and a psychologist saying they made every effort to get the woman to surrender. All the while, Gaines was posting on social media, and her followers were encouraging her not to surrender. Police filed a request with Facebook and Instagram to disable her account, but it took more than an hour. And this is the final Instagram post. Watch again.
Before he goes into that, they weren't there just to serve an arrest warrant on her. They were also there to serve an arrest warrant on her boyfriend for something minor, and he missed his court date. So when he came out, they arrested him based on the warrant that they were there to serve on him, not just because he happened to be in the apartment when everything was going down. I just want to clarify that.
What's happening right now? Who's outside?
The police.
And what are they trying to do? Sergeant, what are they trying to do?
They trying to kill us.
Police say when Gaines again pointed her shotgun at officers through the door, it prompted the exchange of gunfire. 1 shot by police, 2 shots from inside the apartment, 3 more shots by police. Corinne Gaines was killed. Her 5-year-old son hit in the arm. It remains unclear if the boy was hit by police gunfire or by his mother's. The boy is listed in good condition tonight.
Trace, thank you. Joining me now, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Mark Eiglarsh and criminal rights and defense attorney Andell Brown. Wow. Mark?
Yeah.
That...
All her. All her. Anybody who dares point the finger at law enforcement is either being intellectually dishonest or somehow really doesn't know the facts in this case. They were overly cautious. They could have shot her right away when they came in and then held back. 6 hours they waited. And when they came in, both with the words that she used, "I will kill you," coupled with the action, not putting down this shotgun, they had to take action. She caused her death.
Andell?
Okay, let me stop him right there. You know, why is it that anytime, let me back up, most times, because I can't say every time, a black person is involved in any type of a quote-unquote situation or deadly situation, that person more than likely ends up dead? Whereas on the other side, if it's a white person, invariably they take that white person alive. That is my question. Now, when he says that this is all on her, number one, why didn't they use a flash bang grenade or tear gas, something to force her out? That was my very first question when I first saw this video. You know, they talk about using non-lethal force. Flashbang grenade totally disables her, okay? Disables a child as well, okay? But you know, I'm going to worry about the child being disabled later. What I want to do is I want to get everybody that's in there out alive. The flashbang grenade is going to totally disable her. It may, you know, even knock her out, but at least it's going to disable her. As you saw in the footage that she shot, that was SWAT that was there with the weapon. They weren't walking around in summer clothing. Those guys had bulletproof vests and all types of protection. A flashbang grenade going in there and them rushing her, especially if she's disabled. Everybody comes out alive, but that's my thought on it. All right, let me continue the Fox video.
Do you agree?
In a situation like this, a picture's worth 1,000 words and a video is priceless. Here, we have the police account of the events, but we also have police accounts in the Walter Scott case, Laquan McDonald case, Tamir Rice case, where facts that were reported did not match up once we had a video. When we have citizens who feel the need, like in the Philando Castile or the Alton Sterling, to record interactions with police because the body cameras fell off, they aren't working, or whatever the case may be, it shows we have an issue with the trust and transparency and accountability
That's not what she
We
answered.
Look
understand
at
what
her.
happened
This
and
is
let
her
the
with
people
the
make
gun.
the
This is
judgment.
her with a shotgun, Mark Eiglarsh. That's on
That's
video.
what we're told. That's not what we see.
Okay, let me stop this right there. She just made a false statement. And you say, how can that be a false statement? That is her there with a shotgun. The picture that she's bringing up is from a Facebook post from 2 weeks ago. But she wants to make the audience think that that's her there with the shotgun, okay, ready to do battle with the police. Now, in all fairness, later on in this particular broadcast, she cleans it up and says that this particular shot is from 2 weeks ago. But your initial impression is what lasts or sticks with you the longest. And that's the impression she pushed, that at the time of the shooting or murder, depending on your point of view, this was a picture of her loading her shotgun.
What?
So what are you suggesting, Andel? Are you going to manufacture
suggesting
facts?
is in a city
Everything
like
supports what
Baltimore,
you're
I'm
saying.
looking at it
just
right
rocked
now.
with the Freddie Gray, there should be using body cameras in this case.
They
There
just
should
got
be
the
some
body cameras a
transparency.
couple of weeks ago. They're implementing that in Baltimore.
Well, great. We need to see what happened. That's all I can say. I
This
can't
is
make
what-
assumptions like
how
Mark
much more
that it's
can we
all
see?
her.
Wait, so how-
I've seen what happened because I've seen police reports that turned out not to be true once we saw the video.
But Mark Eiglarsh, we are seeing. This is video from the moment this went down.
We can play
We see
Andel's
one
generic game.
perspective.
I've
Let
made
Mark
it before.
answer that.
Hold on. Andel, we'll go with what you're saying. You could throw out that generic comment all day long. We never know because we weren't there. We haven't seen reports, and sometimes reports are wrong. You're correct. But here's the question. Based upon what they're reporting, are you conceding that this was a justified shooting?
No.
Mark, what I'm saying is I'm not just going to go with what
The
they
answer is
report.
yes or
When we
no.
go into when we
If
go into a
what
court
they're
of law,
saying-
Mark, you don't control this interview. When we go into a court of law, we make sure we're very sure before we take someone's freedom.
You just
We
can't
make
say
sure
the
we
word,
go
can
through
you?
many steps before we take someone's life.
And
When
Dell,
the
it was a
officers
hypothetical.
make those
Hold on a second,
decisions,
guys. Hold on a
the
second.
people
Hold on.
deserve to see
Just
and
hold on.
evaluate whether they're
To
correct
Andel's point.
or incorrect.
Okay,
we have to keep
Andel,
the
hold
government
on.
honest.
To your point, to Andel's point, the video of her loading up that gun was apparently from 2 weeks earlier. It wasn't this. This was 2 weeks earlier. It wasn't in the moment that she had the confrontation with the police, who say she did have a long gun, who you can hear discussing with her son on the video she believes they're trying to kill her. And there's a question about her mental state, Mark. I mean, I don't know whether this woman was okay emotionally or mentally, and the police would not confirm whether she had a history of mental health issues. But here she is.
Finally, she says something that makes sense that I can agree with her on. This lady had mental issues. Now, whether the police that arrived on the scene knew it or not, I'm not going to speculate, though in my opinion, they probably should have. But let's say they didn't. Just her actions alone would have led me to believe that something was going on. And the other thing that they could have done was question the boyfriend as to what was going on with her. If she had mental issues, the boyfriend damn sure should have known. And he should have been able to tell them what her state of mind was. Now, we have the benefit of hindsight, seeing the previous video where she had an altercation with police. And in my mind, she was acting irrationally there. But that being said, to me, this was wrong. Anyway, let me finish this portion of the Megyn Kelly video.
Just a couple of weeks earlier, when she had the confrontation with police, she was pulled over. She didn't have a license plate. She considered herself a sovereign citizen. She didn't recognize the authority of the U.S. law enforcement agents. She demanded to see their authority cards. And this is a confrontation. This is a piece of tape from back then. Watch.
You know they're talking about stealing my vehicle. And Cody, they tell you get out this car or take your seatbelt off. You do not get out this car. Do you understand? You better fight their asses. Fight them. Do you hear me?
How do you tell a 5-year-old kid to fight the police? So right there, that particular video tells me everything I need to know. So that lady was mentally unstable.
They will have to kill me today.
No, nobody wants to.
They will have to. They will have to in front of my children and everything. While y'all burn in hell. All y'all pigs.
Right, so she's telling her child he has to get out. I think it's her 5-year-old. He has to get out and fight the police. That they're going to have to kill her to get her out of the car. The officer asked for her license and registration. She refuses to show it. She demands to see his authority card. He shows it to her. So the question is whether this person was of sound mind, and whether the police, if that is the case, had an obligation to do more to not engage in a shootout with this person.
Okay, here's my take on her. I will defend her right to spew her outrageous and offensive speech, even y'all pigs, like she said at the end. She has a constitutional right to say that. But her constitutional rights end when she begins to resist and obstruct officers, as she did in that scenario, but worse, when she shows violence, when she has a gun aimed at law enforcement officers who didn't wake up wanting to kill anybody that day. They just wanted to go home to their families, and she created a scenario that led to her tragic demise.
Go ahead, and I'll give you the last word.
In this circumstance, it is absolutely a tragedy whenever someone loses life or liberty. In this country where life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness are high ideals, we take it very seriously. So I just want to make sure that in every one of these instances, we have the transparency and accountability to keep our government honest, from the cops on the street all the way up to the White House. That's what the people deserve, and that's what we want.
Great to see you both.
Same here.
All right, now, I'm just going to give you some additional information. And that guy on the left is a cop apologist. Every time they bring him on, he can do nothing but defend every action of police. So I really have to discount him. Now, what they didn't tell you here was that the police officer fired first. They were in and out of that the entranceway of that apartment, okay, for 6 hours, and apparently they got tired, which has happened several times before in situations like this. The particular officer got tired, and he was the one who fired first. Well, if somebody's shooting at you, you normally are going to want to shoot back at them. I honestly believe if he hadn't fired, they might still be talking at this hour, or she would have passed out from exhaustion, and they would have been able to get her out of there peacefully. But because the officer fired first, she basically returned fire. Then they fired 3 times, one of them striking her, or possibly 2 of them striking her, and the third one striking her son. How the hell do you push a situation like that with a child in danger? But again, that's my opinion. Now I'm going to jump to the Roland Martin analysis of the situation, so give me a second. All right, here's a Roland Martin take on it, and it opens up with the police chief describing the situation.
We discharged 1 round at her. In turn, she fired several rounds back at us. We fired again at her, striking and killing her.
That was Baltimore County Police Chief Jim Johnson describing the events that led to the death of Corrine Gaines on Monday in suburban Maryland. A 23-year-old mother was shot and killed while holding a shotgun in one hand and her 5-year-old son in the other. A 6-hour standoff began around 9:30 Monday morning in Reynoldstown, Maryland. Officers were attempting to serve arrest warrants to both Gaines and her boyfriend, Kareem Kian, who lived at the apartment. After receiving a key to the apartment from the complex manager, the SWAT team opened the door and could see Gaines sitting on the floor with a shotgun and a child nearby. This is video that Gaines actually shot during the actual standoff. This is from her camera. Her child's next to her. You see the officer in the doorway. This was her boyfriend.
The male occupant of the home exited the home with a child. We do not know why he didn't take both children. 1 child. He exited the home and was taken into custody on the outstanding warrant. At approximately 4 in the afternoon, she again brought the weapon up to the ready position, announced, "If you don't leave, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you." At that point, a tactical officer discharged the round. We do not know if that round struck Mrs. Gaines. She in turn fired several rounds at us, a double-aught buck. No officer was struck. Our personnel returned 3 rounds of fire, striking her and killing her. Obviously, as we immediately went in to render medical aid and assistance, we detected that the child was injured as well. We do not know at this moment in time if the child was struck by our round, her round, shrapnel from our round, shrapnel from her round. We do not know at this moment in time.
Let me tell you what I think. They know damn well that that kid was not shot by his mama. It was not a direct round of double-aught buck. That kid more than likely was struck by one of the bullets fired by that police officer, okay? So for him to throw out that they don't know whether the kid was shot by the officer or the mother, that's a bunch of crap. They know damn well it wasn't a mother that hit that kid with that buckshot, because she would have damn sure had to be pointing the shotgun at the kid. If she fired at the officer, she damn sure wasn't going to shoot through the kid's arm at the officer. So that line is not flying. So that kid, and we should be able to find out sometime today when they take the bullet or fragment out of that kid's arm, whether it was shrapnel or an actual bullet, and whose bullet it was. Because if it was a bullet, it was damn sure the police officer that shot that kid. Now the other thing about this is, I wish they had covered the kid's face, because I don't, that kid has got to go through his whole life with this behind him, and his picture, it should have been covered.
The child was taken to a hospital with non-life-threatening injury during the standoff. Gaines posted several videos on social media. We showed one of those. In one of the videos, Gaines' 5-year-old son answers her eerie questions about the standoff.
What's happening right now? Who's outside?
The police.
And what are they trying to do? Sergeant, what are they trying to do?
They trying to kill us.
I'm sorry, dear, I can hear you say no.
It's good. Do you want to go out there?
No.
Oh. Okay.
5 weeks ago, Gaines had a run-in with other police officers. She also recorded that video.
You will have to murder me. You will have to murder me. So go ahead and get ready to do that. You will have to kill me. I promise you.
We'll go. You guys will take me away from here in a body bag. You look at me in my eyes. You guys are gonna take me away from here in a body bag. I promise you.
Okay, we'll see.
I promise.
Joining us is Maryland Public Television reporter Charles Robinson. Charles, first and foremost, did the chief explain why the SWAT team was used to execute a warrant because of a traffic violation?
This has been one of the strangest anomalies that we've seen, because there's really no justification for the police basically storming into her apartment. They were really going after her boyfriend. As you showed the video of her stop.
Charles, 1 second. They were going after her boyfriend for what?
A warrant. He had a warrant against him, and
the warrant was for what?
The actual apartment. But the bigger problem here is that I don't think it's any question that she was mentally unstable. What we have learned is that she did have a lead poisoning suit that was moving through the courts. You know, if you go back to the Freddie Gray case, he also had issues with lead poisoning, and many of the people who come from the inner city and move to the suburbs bring all their issues with them. The other problem was the incitement of, if you will, social media as she's broadcasting all of these events. Some people actually urging her, stand strong, sister, don't let them come get you. You know, all the way around, there's a young lady who's dead. There's a 5-year-old who won't have a mother and a 1-year-old who won't have their mother. And I don't think we've gotten to the end of this process because the police are going to have to justify what they did and how they did it.
Again, I guess what jumps out at me is the rationale for storming in, using SWAT to execute a warrant. You know, I've seen other standoffs. There was one standoff, I think it was in Virginia, I believe, that lasted 4 days. And all of a sudden you're still, because this reminds me of the Kojima Powell story in St. Louis. If somebody says to a cop, you're gonna have to murder me, shoot me, my first instinct is there might be something else going on here that's not normal.
Right, and think about this, Roland. We had a standoff at a television station here in Baltimore that lasted close to 12 hours. A guy dressed up in a panda outfit with fake bombs. It took them a long time, and they shot him in the shoulder. You know, the fact that this was broadcast via social media makes it both interesting and somewhat frightening, because as you know, you've been in the social media game for a long time, and you know, you can rally people to your cause. You can also incite people. It was kind of one of those things where, you know, you have a mentally unstable person who has a shotgun. Think about that, Roland. She legally purchased that shotgun. I'm asking the question, why would someone even consider doing that in lieu of where she was mentally?
All right, Charles Roberts, we appreciate it. Thank you so very much. I'm going to go to our panel pairs and our GOP Communications consultant, Ashanti Gola, our political director, Emerge America, A. Scott Bolden, defense attorney and partner at Reed Smith LLP. Again, I'm just trying to understand, why are you using SWAT team to execute a warrant, even for the boyfriend? My mind says when you use SWAT team, that's for a serious, violent offender.
Well, you know, this is a tough one, Roland. Now, I'm going to tell you, because you may be mentally unstable. There's over-policing here. The guidelines for the Baltimore Police Department, the Baltimore County Police Department, allow that SWAT team when you are resisting arrest, when you are held up in an apartment. And the argument about the shotgun and the child and the broadcasting will make the argument for the police, ironically. There is over-policing. This was actually a disorderly conduct warrant, and that they were executing. Was it over-policing? Yes. Was it not using the best judgment? Yes. At the same time, you know, 5-year-old, you have a shotgun, the police are being threatened, and the video itself shows, well, they didn't storm that apartment. Right. They're standing there, actually.
But here's the deal, though, and this, because we've seen other instances as well. This is a perfect example of police using law enforcement tactics in dealing with potential mental illness.
But how did they know that?
No. But
she's mentally ill.
No. Here's the deal, Scott. This is using, to me, basic common sense. Okay, this is basic common sense. If I'm a cop and if I'm dealing with somebody who's a young woman with a 5-year-old kid with a gun, okay,
that's a very dangerous situation.
It is
for everyone involved in that apartment.
It is, and so the question for me then becomes, who's talking to the person? Is it a hostage negotiator? Is it somebody who is a counselor? This reminds me of the black man a couple of years ago, elderly black man who was laying up in his bed, had a .22 in his hand. They wanted him to go to a nursing home. The cops were trying to sit here and get him out. They couldn't do it. They eventually stormed the place, shoot and kill the guy. He was almost 90 years old.
Under that scenario, you're absolutely right. There's got to be some judgment, some measure of judgment. Here is very different because you've got a child and you've got a gun and you've got a recalcitrant and a resisting,
No, I understand.
resisting individual. How do they know this? She's mentally ill.
Like, I agree with Roland because isn't there training for this? Like, didn't there training come to mind?
Well, sure.
It's like I'm extremely bothered by how the whole thing played out, and a lot of things.
6 hours. It's not like they rushed in there.
Things still aren't adding up.
Again, Sean King posted something yesterday of a standoff in Virginia that lasted 4 days.
Yes.
4 days. And look, and I understand 6 hours.
It's a judgment.
But here's my piece. Here's my piece. I understand 6 hours, but death is death.
And you got a 5-year-old, you got a shotgun.
I understand.
And it may have been over policing, but that's a far more dangerous situation
I understand.
than the scenario that you've laid out. I mean,
No, that's bullshit. Because see, now he's trying to cover. I don't know why he's doing it. She's got a 5-year-old and she's got a shotgun. There's nothing illegal about that. She wasn't brandishing the shotgun in a threatening manner against her kid. So if they stayed outside of that apartment and waited her out, there wouldn't have been a problem. She was not threatening to her kid. She had not been threatening to her boyfriend or to her 1-year-old child. She allowed the boyfriend to take her 1-year-old child out of the apartment. That, in my mind, is a situation where you waited out. You waited out, okay? But, and I don't know where the hell this guy's coming from. He's basically saying that this was a 100% volatile situation that was ready to blow at any point in time. That is not, in fact, the case. If it was ready to blow, it would have blown. This thing took 6 hours, it would have blown 5 hours ago. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, he's full of crap. And again, I'm coming back to what happened to a flashbang grenade. If you didn't have any, you had 6 hours to go get one. And the police shot first. They shot first. She returned fire. He returned fire from that, killed her, and wounded her son. If the cops hadn't shot first, she would not be dead and her son would not be wounded, and you're not going to get me up off of that.
usually with you, but on this one, this is a tough call.
But here's
this ain't no tough call.
This right here, the mother of the woman killed during a standoff with Baltimore County Police said her daughter ignored pleas from her boyfriend to surrender. Paris, this is one of those things where also I then question, okay, if you're a police officer, and the boyfriend had already come out. Yeah. If you talk to the boyfriend, that's when you begin to say, hey, get the mother on the phone. I just think death is death. I understand the shotgun and the 5-year-old, but also realizing that death is death.
This is a tough one. I agree with Scott because you have to deal with the judgment of the officers. When you have a gun pointed at you and woman on the scene with the child, you don't know the mental state.
And now we don't even really know if there was a gun pointed at him, because police have lied before. So for these guys to take the word of the police that there was a gun pointed at them, apparently there is no video or body cams that were worn by these officers. So now it's basically their word against the word of, well, there is no word from the dead mother. I'm not buying this. I'm not buying this. There were other options that they could have exercised, and that officer chose to shoot that woman. If she, in fact, had pointed the shotgun at him, she didn't fire it first, and he had the option to back away, not to mention the fact that he had on armor which would have protected him from a shotgun blast.
You have to make those tough calls. But the thing that troubled me the most was when she put her son in the situation as a parent, and the son's response to me was, I almost broke into tears, because he said, what are they trying to do? And he said, they're trying to kill us. And when we have 5-year-olds with the mentality or their pure response that the police are trying to kill us, we have a bigger problem.
He's being taught.
Well, hell, I guess the kid knew what he was talking about because they killed his mama.
But also keep in mind, he was in the car with her when all
He's
stuff.
singing.
I'm right, and he's singing it, but he's also hearing it.
Right.
And again, I'm just looking at. Again that particular person there. So I mean, and we'll certainly get more details on it. But I do believe that what has to happen in this country, we do have to have police who are looking at this whole issue of mental illness, because we're seeing more cases like this. Kajima Powell in St. Louis took place a couple of weeks after Michael Brown. Same thing. Young man steals 2 energy drinks. All of a sudden he sits them down. They call the cops and they say, this guy's mentally unstable. But we timed it. From the moment the cops arrived, it was literally 16 seconds when the car door opened to the first shot fired. And when they got there, he's yelling, "Kill me, MF, kill me." If I'm a cop, right there I'm going, I'm dealing with somebody who's not stable. He had like a butter knife in his hand, and he literally made one step to the cops. They don't take retreat behind the car door. 2 cops unload almost 9 bullets into him, kill him, and you begin to say, the officer's clear. They say, well, he stepped to us, our life was in danger.
Yeah, that's a very different situation. There'll be a full investigation of this.
No. It's a different situation. Different situation, but what I'm saying is, I think one of the things we have to deal with, same thing in Dallas. Cops go to the house, mom says son is being unruly, son is playing with a screwdriver. He's enchanted with a screwdriver. 2 cops say, sir, put the screwdriver down, mentally unstable. Mom sitting right there, cops fire, kill the man. I think we do have a problem with mental illness in America, and police have to be trained how do I deal with mental illness situations.
If they are aware of the mental illness. I don't know if this situation at the door scene that they were aware that she had mental illness, but I will say the police did, in my opinion, show some restraint in how they reacted to the situation.
I'm just saying, and again, they might have been appropriate in every single aspect, but I do believe, again, we have to be pushing police departments to expand training when it comes to mental illness, because we're seeing examples of this all across the country. And again, death is death, and it's all final.
And I'm still not buying it, because like I said, and Roland just referenced it, the boyfriend made pleas for her to surrender. They had plenty of time. Number one, to talk to the boyfriend, to inquire, with him about her mental state. And number 2, I'm back to that flashbang grenade. They could have disabled her without using deadly force. Anyway, I made this video so that you can see both sides of a story. One from the conservative Fox Police. I'm on the police side of this thing, and one from the, no, I'm not on the police side of it, even though one of Roland's panelists apparently, well actually 2 of them apparently felt that the police were completely justified in their actions. I'm not in that camp. I'm in the camp that there was more that could have been done, and they just didn't do it.